Just when you thought that it couldn't get any worse when it comes to failing up in the video game industry, we have an update to the failed Concord developer, Professor Brown, also known as Wordle on X, or Lisa Brown, the lead developer for Concord, that got let go when Firewalk was shutting down. And I was very curious to see where this person would end up, and wouldn't you know it? They're failing upward. What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Smash JT. Very similar to the Corinne Bush situation at BioWare, where that dude quit, jumped ship, and then found their way into working at Skeleton Key Studios for Wizards of the Coast and launched their career into the stratosphere when it came to failing upwards. No matter how much money they lost BioWare and EA, they found a place to land on their feet and succeed. And here we have a very similar situation with Lisa Brown, Professor Brown, ironically, now leaving Firewalk when that shut down and ending up at EA. God, the nepotism in the game industry never ceases to amaze me. JT. Hit that subscribe, give me a like, and check out smashjt.com for the full article breaking down how Prof Brown has been hired on by Electronic Arts to work as a lead developer at a massive AAA company. Because why wouldn't somebody fail upward when they cost a company upwards of $400 million with the failure of Concord? Sure, let's hire him. What could possibly go wrong? Now, before I even go too far in this video, this is for informational and commentary purposes only. Do not harass, contact, or threaten any individuals mentioned within. Criticism is to be directed at the industry trends itself and public behavior only. This is never about personal attacks, and I want to be very clear about that because some reason talking about situations of the game industry that involve the people that work in it seem to get pretty offended pretty quickly when all you're really doing is pointing at a situation and saying, that doesn't seem right. Well, here we go again. In the never-ending spinning revolving door of the AAA game development world, another familiar name has reemerged once again. Lisa Brown, or infamously known as Professor Brown, the former lead developer at Firewalk Studios on the ill-fated live service shooter Concord, someone who I've spoken about in great detail previously thanks to an insider at Firewalk Studios reaching out to me specifically back in the day before all this went down, and they were like, it's bad here, and this is one of the main reasons for it. This Lisa Brown character is a walking HR nightmare, and the things they shared with me allegedly made it look like Lisa Brown was somebody who probably shouldn't be working in the industry, and if anything, should probably work at their own company alone, because if the things I was told were true, it's not a situation that I'd want to be involved with working with anyone. According to her now updated LinkedIn profile, Brown has now landed a new gig, this time at Electronic Arts, which I know, big shocker, right? Where she just started working there this month, April 2025, as a principal world designer. So this is a massive position at a massive company, working on, most likely, a massive AAA game. Yet it's almost like whatever happened in the past doesn't matter because, hey, she has experience, so what could possibly go wrong with hiring them on? After Concord's insane flop and the expected Firewalk Studios' subsequent shutdown on top of the rumored and reported $400 million, which, by the way, for those who aren't following, $400 million has 8 zeros in it. That's a lot of zeros before a number. Like, think about how much money $400 million is. Now, I'm not trying to attribute all $400 million being Lisa's fault. Like, they lost all the money because of them. But, I mean, if you're one of the lead designers on Concord and the game fails, you gotta take some of the brunt of the blame here. Brown has now officially failed upward, earning a high-ranking position at another massive publisher. Ironically, it's at EA, the very same company that owns BioWare, which many might recall recently went through a painful restructuring with layoffs, moves that were suspiciously timed right after several senior devs jumped ship, like Corinne Bush, the former game director of Dragon Age the Veilguard, who somehow promptly landed a job at Skeleton Key Studios right before BioWare started cutting staff and letting a lot of people go. But hey, Maybe that's just a coincidence. Now we see the exact same cycle here unfolding with Lisa Brown. The industry can be boiled down to a merry-go-round of ideologically aligned developers, cycling to and fro between collapsing projects and new investment money coming in, accomplishing nothing but leaving a destruction of studios in their wake, only to then somehow land a cushy new role via their established industry connections. At some point, we have to ask the obvious elephant in the room question: who is hiring these people, and what is being done about the rampant nepotism that is running through the entire game industry that will ultimately consume it if nothing is done about it? And a quick recap of Lisa Brown, if you're not familiar with this character that I've covered in the past before. After declaring herself non-binary to the world for some reason, Brown then reportedly insisted on being referred to as the Professor when working at Firewalk Studios, and people that would not refer to her as the Professor, even though she had no credentials to be a professor, would potentially be in trouble, as reported to me by my insider whistleblower, saying that if you did not identify this person as they demanded, you would be talked to by HR, because you need to respect not just the pronouns, but apparently the titles that these individuals were giving themselves at this organization. And you wonder why Firewalk Studios went under. According to my sources, company meetings were forced to adapt to her, using phrases like teaching and learning with the professor, which reportedly created quite the discomfort among team members who felt unable to object to Firewalk's highly progressive environment. And things quickly scaled beyond mere semantics. The whistleblower previously revealed to me that Brown had openly expressed anti-gun views, while at the same time, ironically, being the developer on a hero shooter game with guns. And for some reason, you would think this would be a one-off, but it seems to almost be a trend with these wokey developers where they're very anti-gun ownership and very anti-gun people when they go to work and then build guns on computers for a game to simulate gun violence. But hey, I guess whatever gets you that paycheck at the end of the day, right? Worse yet, according to my source, Brown had allegedly pushed for the firing of any unvaccinated employees at the studio of Firewalk back during the peak of COVID, contributing to what was described to me as a very divisive, fear-based workplace culture where political beliefs trumped merit and any kind of real cohesion. So when Concord failed, and quite spectacularly, I might add, it wasn't just the game mechanics or market competition to blame, it was a direct symptom of a broken internal structure, driven directly by misplaced priorities and ideological rigidity. But don't worry, because of course, she's gonna land on her feet at the game industry again, because that's what happens with the nepotism in the industry. That's why all these developers go to GDC and rub shoulders with each other. Oh, I just got laid off, but I used to work here, and I have all this experience here, and I can do this because I've done it before over here. And all these people that were laid off, many of them, of these people, were laid off because their game failed, because they were not good at what they did. So people look at the experience of, oh, it's experience, so that qualifies you for the position, not looking any deeper at what they actually did during the years of experience that they gained. Now Brown has taken up residence at EA, an environment notorious for its own bureaucratic pitfalls, anti-consumer practices, and shifting DEI initiatives. Is history going to repeat itself? Possibly. In fact, looking at all the information on the table here, I'd be willing to bet on it. But let's be real, it's hard to feel bad for EA. Ever. It's a corporation that has, time and time again, proven themselves unable to learn from their own failures. In that sense, maybe Brown is the perfect match for EA. As with many others, her trajectory showcases how AAA gaming industry continues to reward ideology and connections over any kind of competence and results. The video game industry is in desperate need of a reset. This right here is Exhibit A of that fact. Talented developers are being overshadowed by activists in game dev clothing, individuals more interested in pushing their own personal politics than making any kind of compelling game experience. Lisa Brown's shift from Firewalk Studios, followed almost immediately by a soft landing a few months later at EA, is just another chapter in a long book of self-sabotage in the industry that refuses to stop writing these chapters. At some point, you'd think after losing as much money as they have, they would wake up and say, maybe this isn't the best direction to go. Maybe we should explore other alternatives. People that don't have this kind of woke ideology, this broken mindset where they force ideology and opinions on other people at the company. And if people don't bend to their needs, then those people that were working at the company and doing just fine before them are somehow now the ones implicated in being in trouble and then get flushed out of the company, while other wokies continue to bring themselves into it, creating an environment of similar-minded people and ultimately destroying the entire company from within. But that's if you actually care about a company like EA, which at this point, I don't know, that's kind of hit or miss. Anyways, I'm going to leave it there. If you guys want more information, check out smashjt.com for the full article. I will link it in the description below. If you appreciate what I'm doing, hit that join button. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, you stay smashing.
You know, the teams that love each other and love the project makes the game better. Like, that thing is absolutely true. And I absolutely has carried through. And in fact, here's a group of people I worked with at Insomniac. But this is years later. This is after a lot of us have left, gone on to other projects. But like, we still come together, and that time we spent together making those things and that bond we shared was important and made the games better. Smash,